Lyondike are going to have enough fuel. It's going to be awful close.
Also, Bobby, do you think there's any team orders here?
I'm sure that they are, but you know, racing is a gamble a lot of times.
All the time. Scott Goodyear, who has been so close, but here comes Lyondike. Lyondike, they go into the corner side by side, and Lyondike takes the lead of the 500.
You know they're both trying to save fuel, but it looks like Scott tried to save a little bit too much by going to a too high of a gear.
Okay, now hang in there.
Well, I don't know about the team orders here with 8 laps to go. I don't see there going to be any team orders.
Still in the Indianapolis 500 with 32 laps to go. As the pace comes up again, Salazar is at the front, and he comes toward the green flag. Davy Jones tries to make a move to the inside, still trying. Salazar's taking him all the way to the wall. Took him all the way to the wall.
That's really not good. That's Salazar 2 times now he's done that today.
And there goes Sam Pedri. Sam Pedri goes for the lead of the race, and Sam Pedri's got it.
And Davey looks like he's slowing down. He might be just gathering himself up. But Salazar obviously didn't want to lose another lap.
That's going too far. The officials are going to have to do something about driving like that.
That is so dangerous, Bobby. I can't believe that.
So Davey Jones, they're lined up as we run toward the finish of the Indy 500.
Well, Bobby,
Here is what set that situation up. Jones moving to the inside of Salazar.
Yeah, he moves once, and he blocked him, and then he went another time. Got a little bit more draft, and he just drove him down into the wall.
Salazar was so wrong, it's just terrible.
Yeah.
That type of driving has got to be stopped.
Yeah,
that could have been a very serious accident right there for no good reason.
Bobby, look where he is in the field. He could have taken out half the field right there if he had turned him sideways or he'd broken something there. That's just uncalled for.
We could never let motor racing come to such deals like that, Danny.
No, see, he got a run on him. He moved back in to get another draft, and then Salazar just drove him down the fence. Now, I think Salazar just didn't want to lose another lap. He was trying to get back on that lead lap, but that's just dangerous driving.
That shouldn't be an issue.
And we did it. We did it.
You waited and waited and waited and then made your move when it was most important.
Well, I think was the last 2 yellows we had great. No, I'm not having the milk. Thanks.
Now there's a first. Emerson, you're not going to drink the milk.
Well, I'm going to drink the orange juice. That's my producing, and I'm going to have this time orange juice. I produce orange juice.
Back in Sao Paulo, Brazil, he produces the orange juice, so he's going to go that way. But Emerson, let's talk about the restart with Nigel Mansell in the lead. Tell us about the move.
So Arie Luyendyk will come around, and he has a yellow out at the start-finish line. Luyendyk, there he is. You're on board him. The white flag is there, and they're going to go green for the final lap. Here we go. One more lap. 2.5 miles, and the Indy 500 will be decided.
Get going, buddy, get going. That's yellow out there. It's green again. What the fuck are they doing?
Apparently, the yellow light is still on some sections of the racetrack.
It's green here in the back straightaway, Paul.
That's what that radio warning was. So they're keeping it speed.
I'm not too sure about that last start by USAC there.
Making the turn for home. Here comes Arie Luyendyk.
Get down here. That's it, baby.
And you heard the call on their two-way radio. Arie Luyendyk now becomes a 2-time winner at Indy. Luyendyk, the pole sitter, has taken the Indy 500.
It's out of Penske's hands right now. It's up to the drivers.
It's out of everyone's hands with these 6. Notice Raul is now up into 4th place. And here they come. The green flag flies. And Fittipaldi trying to catch position on Mansell. Is this inexperience for Mansell, giving it over to Fittipaldi? And look at Luyendyk as he moves to 2nd place.
Desperate pass by Arie Luyendyk, a very good pass. Really got Mansell asleep on that one. Boy, Fittipaldi run through here. Turn 2 wide open, folks.
Buddy Lazier takes the checkered flag and wins the Indianapolis 500. Firestone's first win since 1971, and a crash on the finish. Big crash on the finish of the race. Salazar, looks like Zampedri, and Guerrero. The cars that were running 4th, 5th, and 6th all crashed together at the end of the race. It's Salazar looking down at his feet to make sure they're okay. So a battle that was developing really for 4th place that counts, the Indianapolis 500. But as he was crossing the finish line, taking the checkered, Roberto Guerrero lost control.
Spins there, and he gets up into the
Look at Zampedri.
Whoa, I've never seen that red car get up like that into the fence. He's upside down still right there. Now he hits Salazar. He's still upside down, and it flips him back over. Unbelievable. Unbelievable accident right there.
Another look at it. Here comes Guerrero. He loses it.
He just loses it. Whoa.
Whoa. Up so high over the top of the camera.
And those two guys were, look at that. The force in that just took those unbelievable accidents.
Well, that hit on the fence by Zampedri flipping upside down was unbelievable. This is from Salazar's car. Roberto loses it down to the left. Comes across.
Look at that.
Salazar literally goes under it.
Look him duck. Did you see him duck?
Unbelievable.
He ducked his head.
Drives under it and then is hit from behind, but that hit puts him right side up. Roberto Guerrero climbs out of the car. These cars can take some incredible punishment. They are designed with so much safety in mind.
That's one of the Alpha cars now. One of the 2 Alpha cars in the race Roberto's driving.
And of course the other one is driven by Danny Sullivan, so a star-crossed day for the Alfa Romeo team.
And A.J. Foyt with his hand up indicating
he was in
that
the
he's
crash.
going.
Look at the left front. The wheel is not making contact with the road.
Not at all.
He's damaged that suspension.
And that looks to be rather permanent damage.
Yeah, in fact,
Bobby, can that be repaired at all?
No, there's no repair there. That's going to be permanent, Paul. Like you said, that's probably going to put him out.
Gary Bettenhausen back in under the last yellow. He made a stop for 16 seconds in and out. And A.J. is waving. Is he saying goodbye?
Yeah, I think it might be that.
The crowd saluting one of the greatest drivers ever in the history of the sport. Is this the last moment? What a terrible way for A.J. to end an Indianapolis career when this day held so much promise.
You can see it's bent pretty bad because the left front tire doesn't turn, Paul. It's off of the ground when he's going straight. So it's bent. Unless they want to do a real long repair job, it's the only way they can get him back in.
The field leaves A.J. behind. The crowd stands to salute the grand champion as he rolls down off the 4th turn and into the pits.
For sure, the car would have to have at least an entire left front corner. That would be the least amount of damage done.
There had been so much speculation before the race, but his success in qualifying caused him to decide to come back, perhaps for a 35th year. I think the signal that you see him making from the cockpit right now suggests no. This is the farewell of A.J. Foyt.
Sam, I don't think it's bothering him all that bad. I think he's made this race his 34th start. You can see Foyt is never this happy. I've never seen him drop out of a race and been happy before.
He's the oldest man ever to run this race, 56-year-old A.J. Foyt.
He is wobbling.
Limping back to the pits on the 25th lap of the 75th Indianapolis 500 to a standing ovation, Anthony Joseph Foyt Jr., who prefers to be known simply as A.J. Dacey and his crew waits for the car as they come down to the south end of the pit area. Will there be a valiant effort to put that car back in the race? It's difficult from his position for AJ to determine how much damage is there, but I feel rather certain that he's convinced, yes, he unstraps.
That's the end of it, Paul.
The white flag is about to come out at Indianapolis. He's out of fuel. He's out of fuel.
Wow.
Robbie Gordon is out of fuel as Kenny Brack comes down to take the white flag. One more lap to go in the Indy 500. Incredible heartbreak for Robbie Gordon, out of fuel. And now AJ Foyt's pit.
Bob, it's the biggest race in the world. You've got to go. You got to gamble. They did, and they lost.
Half a lap to go for Brack.
Look at the checker flag, Rover. Keep coming, Kenny, keep coming. You only got the white checker this time. Come on, come on.
Here he is. Kenny Brack wins the 1999 83rd running of the Indianapolis 500.
Good job, Kenny, baby. Good job. Good job. Way to go, baby! Victory.
Down to Jerry Punch.
This race traditionally changes in the last 10 laps. We're approaching that area now. The green flag is back out. And Rick Mears comes around John Andretti. He's no factor whatsoever, but Michael is right there with him. Michael moving to the outside. Can he keep in the high groove? He did it in Phoenix. Can he do it here? Michael Andretti takes the lead away from Rick Mears.
That's one of the toughest passes I've ever seen. A short shoot pass with two cars running nearly the same speed. I'll just bet you that Rick Mears thought that would have been impossible, and I just can tell you he never, ever looked for Michael to go that way.
That is sheer virtuosity by Michael Andretti, Bobby. Don't you agree? That was an
That was one of the finest pieces of driving, one of the hardest pieces of driving I've seen. And Sam, it's very difficult to pass somebody on the outside like that, and especially a car that's just as fast.
And from Bobby Unger's point of view, a position on the track that he was not expected. But here is Rick Mears now in the same position as Mears, who has been driving a very clear line this race. Takes Michael Andretti. 187 laps into the record book. The fight is at the front.
Our hats off to him now. If you ever see racing better than that, I'd certainly like to know where it's going to be.
That's Rick's wife, Chris Mears, as Rick is back out in front. What I was going to remind you of in the last... Masuda. Hideki Masuda, the first rookie to qualify, first car to go out in qualification.
I just happened to be looking up, Paul, at the track as this happened. It looked like he just lost the rear end coming off, spun, hit the wall. Doesn't look like it was all that bad.
The Blimp Spirit overhead for that shot. There's the replay. Lost it coming off at turn one, slammed the wall, and then just slid down to the inside.
But again, look at all that trash that flies off the track around there. We got to watch for flat tires from the other cars. That's the biggest fear that they have.
Bobby, how much trash is down in that area as we look at another replay of this accident?
Really doesn't look that bad.
Guys, sorry to interrupt you. We got another one up here in turn 3. We have another accident in turn 3.
This is an accident after the yellow?
Yes, they're down here. It might have been that debris that we're talking about. He might have lost a tire.
And that's John Paul Jr.
There's a flat tire that you can see. Most likely. That doesn't mean it was caused by the debris, but Danny's probably right. They run over debris, they have a flat tire, they go on the next turn, and wowee, the car just takes off.
Well, Bobby, that's exactly why I asked you, because it's, and look at this.
Paul Tracy.
Smoke out of the Mercedes of Paul Tracy.
Now, Tracy was back in 13th place. He was not probably positioned to win the race. But this could be the first weakness shown by the Mercedes program.
All right, let's go back. We'll keep track of Tracy. Here is the car 45, the John Paul situation. Boy, lost it way early. That almost definitely confirms that Danny saw. What's this? What's this?
There's Nigel Mansell under. Unbelievable.
Nigel Mansell and Dennis Vitolo. Why? How did they get to this point? An unbelievable
After the
situation.
yellow.
What is going?
The yellow light's been on for several laps. This is on the pit road.
But interesting that Mansell and I think Al Jr. were the first guys through. The accident. Maybe they picked up a puncture too.
Yeah,
Nigel Mansell decides to get out because there was fire on the back of the car, and
remember, this is methanol that's burning, and you can't see it.
Sam, that's oil that's burning right there, not methanol. You couldn't see it. It's right underneath the engine there.
yeah, but what about Mansell? One of the firemen saw something and went to just totally envelop Mansell. Maybe he thought that Mansell was on fire or saw some of those flames that we can't see from methanol.
Bobby, I saw the oil fire, but then so suddenly Mansell seemed to leap forward as if something else. That's why I suppose that maybe the methanol had ignited.
That's because everybody is screaming fire. He wasn't in a hurry until everybody started screaming. And he also knows methanol fires are almost invisible, Sam.
Well, but Bobby, he is on the ground.
Bobby,
It's
it
not
also
an easy
could have
climb
been,
out.
It could have been too if his radiator was punctured. Don't forget that'll take time till it seeps into the back of the cockpit, and he could have all of a sudden got the hot water,
Which
soaking
feels like
through.
fire, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe burns worse.
It's not very often we see one car on top of the other. This is really a terrible looking possible accident there.
On the warm-up lane, and we still have no idea how these two cars, Vitolo and Mansell, got there well after the yellow. All right, Bobby, we'll let you pay attention to your very important job of bringing the field down. One car in trouble, the 36 car, unbelievable. Roberto Guerrero, the pole sitter, in trouble. No indication why this could have happened at all. We're only on the second parade lap, not even to the pace lap, and Roberto Guerrero spins the car. Talk about his bad luck here, Sam Posey. It struck again.
He has been on an emotional roller coaster throughout the month of May. Of course, he has not driven in racing cars for almost a full year since he raced here. That's his wife, Katie, there. Of course, a look of disbelief. What could you be thinking at this point? They weren't even up to medium speed. It had to have been some incredible mechanical problem. You're looking at the team there of Kenny Bernstein. We're going to see him on the middle of the screen there. Absolutely inexplicable.
The only thing that one might consider, Bobby indicated to us, Bobby Unser, how cold it is, and because of that, look, the car is damaged.
Yeah, no question, he's out of the race.
The tires may not have come up to full temperature, and maybe with that high torque engine, when he shifted gears, just suddenly.
Boy, it...
Oh, what a terrible situation for Roberto Guerrero. One of the nicest men.
We thought that he was making a true comeback. Of course, he was one of the fastest and best drivers in IndyCar racing in the mid-70s. He suffered a concussion at this track in 1987 in a testing accident. He was in a coma for 17 days. And after that, and we're looking back now from the pace car, look at the right there, Roberto. Wow, he appears to have just turned suddenly, doesn't he, Paul? I think was conserving fuel, Jack. He should be drafting Emerson Fittipaldi, not leading him.
But Sam, the idea there is...
Oh, that's Emerson.
Yellow comes out.
That's Emerson.
And I just started to say the problem is he can't afford to be down a lap and have something like this happen. He's got to be ahead, and that's the way it turned out.
As we suggested, within the last 20 laps, the last 50 miles, and Emerson Fittipaldi brushes the wall on lap 184.
You should hear the crowd.
Down here in turn 2, everybody is standing up. Literally every person.
The same in turn 4. Of course, it happened right here in turn 4. I couldn't believe it. He just got a little bit loose.
Let's watch it. Oh, boy. They had the race locked up.
The rear end just jumped right out from under. He had to correct it right into the wall.
Danny, you were watching it.
I was sitting there watching that. I'm not so sure the air wasn't disturbed. I think he wanted to make a run a little bit in Little Alley. It looked like he wanted to go back and try to pass it, and he just lost it.
Michael Andretti just turned a lap at 221.2 miles an hour. 11 laps to go in the Indy 500, and Michael is slowing. Michael is slowing. The rest of the field is coming past. Michael Andretti is slowing down. Al Unser Jr. will take the lead as Michael Andretti slows down at Indianapolis. An unbelievable turn of events. The man who has dominated this race on the 189th lap. Suddenly the car slows and Michael appears to be done.
Paul, that is another Andretti thing. It's sad for Michael. I have never seen a race driver in my life that deserves this race more than Michael Andretti, and he isn't even going to make it back to the pits.
There come the leaders, first and second. Al Unser Jr., Scott Goodyear. And we've got a whale of a race on the racetrack as Scott Goodyear is closing on Little Al.
Now the contest is really going to happen for a race, because once those guys know, which they know now,
Yellow flag comes out because Michael's car did not make it off the racetrack. And Leslie Goodyear is wondering, can her husband possibly win the race? Jack Arute, you have an update.
Paul, it was very simple on the radio. He radioed in, "I can't believe it. The engine quit."
And about 400,000 people here cannot believe it as well. They are all on their feet. And Michael wants that car back to the pits. There's Leslie, Scott's wife, as she watches on. They live now here on the north side of Indianapolis. He is Canadian. If he can win, be the first Canadian to do so. But remember, Bill Newton is also Canadian. And Salazar then
No, that can't be right.
Can't do that.
pace car was too slow, Paul. He needed to get a run.
But they gave him the green flag anyway. Dwayne Sweeney is waving the green flag. Goodyear got a run on the pace car.
I think it was only a normal deal. The pace car just wouldn't accelerate. He just went too slow.
Dick Bonnell was not anticipating that, and as a result, Goodyear got a good run on him. Now that's Ari Luyendyk that's moving in there. He is not part of this battle. Luyendyk runs in 8th place, a lap down. But now he pokes his nose into the fight.
That was a savage setback for Villeneuve.
Scott Goodyear going into turn 3. Had to get moving. He couldn't wait any longer. Otherwise, the same thing would have happened to him and happened to Scott Stewart before.
And Rahal got around Salazar on that restart as well. And that puts Rahal up into the fight.
We have Gus. Next we don't.
Oh no. The officials are now reporting they're going to show the black flag to Scott Goodyear, the 24 car. You're on board with him now. They're going to show the black flag to the leader of the race. Stop and go penalty because he passed the pace car before the green. Scott Goodyear is about to lose the Indy 500 on a penalty. A black flag, stop and go.
And
Look at Leslie.
And Jacques Villeneuve may be about to win it because of a penalty, despite the fact you see him there in that blue and white car, despite the fact he himself suffered what appeared to be a death blow penalty, a 2-lap penalty much earlier in the race. So the story of this race, Bobby, no question about it, has been the role that the officials have played in the race.
It's been a roll of penalties this entire race from start to finish, and it's just sad to see races end like this.
He can make one pass, but he has got to pass one of the savviest, canniest, and most determined drivers in the business.
A lot of that's going to come from the old sprint car days. That's where Little Al came from, was go-karts and sprint cars. He's got a lot of savvy on how to keep somebody from passing.
The 198th lap in the record books. On this lap in 1989, Emerson Fittipaldi and Little Al touched wheels. Little Al hit the wall. Fittipaldi went onto the web. Scott Goodyear still trying to catch him.
Right now, there's no traffic involved in front of him, Paul. This is what got him the last time.
And Al Unser Jr. sees Dwayne Sweeney's white flag. 2.5 miles. One more lap to go. If Scott Goodyear has a chance, the time is now. Don't forget, 10 years ago, John Cox and Rick Mears raced on the last lap for the finish. John Cox won that one. That was experience over Rick Mears' relative inexperience. Will that happen again here today? They're on the backstretch. 223 miles an hour on the last lap.
No traffic involved.
They make the turn for home now. On the main stretch, Scott Goodyear closes in. He looks for a place to come by. Scott Goodyear tries it, but no.
I believe
finish I've ever seen. I've never seen anybody try any harder than Scott Goodyear did, or little Al. They zigzagged all over the racetrack, did everything they could to mess each other up or whatever that you try to do.
Scott Goodyear pulls alongside and salutes the new winner. Remember though,
Rick Gallis, the winning car owner here at Indianapolis 500.
Here were the last few hundred feet of the run as Scott Goodyear looked for a place to get past. Came out to the inside, and as they came to the line, Scott Goodyear had a little bit of a roll, but it wasn't enough. But look at that.
Had his front wheels up with little Al's rear wheel.
I'll tell you what, he got the USAC scoring computer because the computer says the interval first to second was .0.